Here is every version of HTMX ever published: 1.x, 2.x, and then 4. There is no HTMX 3, and there was never going to be one. Carson Gross, who built HTMX, said that in public, so he kept his word on a technicality. His words: "I said there would not be a version 3 of HTMX. But, technically, I said nothing about a version 4, which means the answer to what changed in HTMX 3 is this: nothing changed in HTMX 3. Everything moved into HTMX 4, and 4 days ago it got real. July 23rd, 2026, beta 6 on NPM. Your package manager will hand it to you today under the tag next, and 2 things inside it will break a working HTMX2 app on the first page load. I will name both and show you the config lines that undo them. Start with the one you cannot undo. Every request HTMX makes now goes through fetch. XMLHttpRequest, the browser object that has powered HTMX since 2020, is gone from the codebase, and deleting it made the library smaller. HTMX 2.10, minified, is 50 kilobytes. Beta 6 is 35.4. Same core attributes, minus 15 kilobytes of accumulated workarounds. That is the shape of this release, a major version that mostly subtracts. Here is the full list of what it took out, what it added back, and whether you should move. To see why the internals got torn out, go back to January 2025. Carson wrote a toy library called fixi.js on a whim. A tiny HTMX, a few hundred lines, built on fetch and async await from the first commit. It sits at about 1,300 stars, and it was not meant to ship. But writing it taught him something he had not planned on learning. The HTMX API was fine. HXGet, HXPost, HXTarget, HXSwap, all of it fine. The implementation underneath was 5 years of workarounds stacked on a request object designed for Internet Explorer. So the question stopped being, should we add features? It became, if we are switching to fetch, and that breaks things anyway, what else do we fix while the hood is open? 3 answers came out of that, and every other change in this video hangs off one of them. Fetch replaces XMLHttpRequest. Attribute inheritance becomes explicit instead of automatic, and history stops caching your pages. Hold on to that third one. It is the strangest of the 3, and it is the one that deleted the most code. Alpha 1 shipped on November 3rd, 2025. Beta 6 shipped on July 23rd, 2026. 14 pre-releases in under 9 months, still landing every 4 to 6 weeks. Whatever else this is, it is not a stalled project. Now the change that will break your templates. Carson calls implicit attribute inheritance the biggest mistake in HTMX 1 and 2. His words, not mine, and he shipped it twice. Here's what implicit means. You put hxconfirm on a div. Every element under that div picks it up, all the way down the tree. You did not ask for that. The div never said I am sharing this. It leaks down through your markup the way a CSS property does, which is powerful when you want it and maddening when you do not. A button 4 levels deep starts asking, are you sure? And the attribute causing it lives in a file you were not looking at. HTMX2 shipped 2 whole attributes, hxInherit and hxDisinherit, just to unpick this. HTMX4 flips the default. Nothing inherits unless you say so, and you say so with a :inherited modifier on the attribute itself. Write hxTarget: inherited on the div, and the buttons underneath share the target. Leave it off, and they do not. There is a second modifier as well. :append lets a child add to an inherited value instead of replacing it, so a form can pull in the global include list and then tack its own fields on the end. hxInherit and hxDisinherit are both deleted because there is nothing left for them to do. And if you have a big app and no appetite for this today, one line takes it back. htmx.config.implicit inheritance equals true, and HTMX4 inherits like HTMX2. That escape hatch is why most apps boot on the first try. The second breaking change is smaller to read and bigger to hit. In HTMX2, a 400 or a 500 response did not swap. The library treated an error status as nothing to render and left your target alone. In HTMX4, every response swaps except 204 and 304. Most of the time, that is what you wanted. Your server returns a form with validation errors and a 422 status, and it lands in the target with 0 configuration. On HTMX2, you had to write a response handling config block to get that. The failure runs the other direction. If your 500 handler returns a full HTML error page, HTMX4 will swap that whole page into a div inside your layout. On HTMX2, the same response was ignored. Same server, same handler, completely different screen. You get 2 levers. hxStatus sets the behavior per status code on a single element, and HTMX.config .noSwap takes a list, so putting back 204, 304, 4xx, and 5xx restores the old rules across the whole app. Or skip both and load the HTMX2 compat extension. One script tag brings back implicit inheritance, the old event names and the old error rules together. That is the migration path the docs recommend. Get the app booting, then peel the compat layer off one piece at a time. Now the part that shows up in your grep results. Every event in HTMX got renamed because Fetch finally let them settle on a real grammar. It reads HTMX:phase:system. Before a request is HTMX:before:request. After a swap is HTMX:after:swap. 24 events renamed. HTMX after onload, HTMX after settle, HTMX before swap, HTMX config request, all of them. If you have JavaScript listening to HTMX events, and most real apps do, that code stops firing on upgrade and throws nothing at all. It just goes dead. 4 error events collapse into one. HTMX send error, HTMX swap error, HTMX target error, and HTMX timeout all become HTMX:error. And the 4 HXR events are simply gone, because there is no XMLHttpRequest error left to report on. Upload progress bars built on HTMX HHR progress are the one thing here with no drop-in replacement. The attributes are worse because 2 of them trade names with each other. HX disable in HTMX2 meant skip HTMX processing on this element. In HTMX4, that job belongs to HX ignore, and HX disable now means what HX disabled ELT used to mean. Rename HX disable first, or the 2 collide mid-migration. 8 attributes are removed outright. HX vars, HX params, HX prompt, HXXT, HX disinherit, HX inherit, HX request, and HX history. Most have somewhere to go. HX prompt comes back as an extension. HX params moves into the config request event, and HXXT is gone because you just include the extension script. On the config object, 5 options are renamed and about 15 are deleted. 2 default values changed that you will feel on day 1. Requests now time out after 60 seconds instead of hanging forever, and the settle delay drops from 20 milliseconds down to 1. Third simplifying change, and the one I keep coming back to. HTMX2 speeds up back button navigation by snapshotting your DOM into local storage. It sounds clever. In practice, snapshotting a live DOM is fragile because third-party scripts have already touched it and half your state is not in the markup. The project support answer became, turn the history cache off, and that usually fixes it. When the fix for a feature is disabling the feature is the bug, so HTMX4 does not cache. Press back and it issues a network request and re-renders the way the web worked in 1999. You lose instant back navigation. You get history that behaves the same way every single time, and a chunk of session storage nobody has to reason about. The old caching ships as an opt-in extension, HX history cache, in the box and switched off. The HX history attribute is deleted, so that is everything that breaks. Here is what you get for it, and this is the point where I stopped resenting the upgrade. Morphing is in core. Idiomorph, the DOM merge algorithm Carson wrote 3 years ago, the one Hotwire adopted, is now a swap style you can just name. Morphing matters because of what it does not touch. A normal swap replaces your markup, so focus jumps out of the input somebody is typing into and playing media restarts. A morph walks both trees and edits only the parts that differ. The cursor stays where it was. Next, out-of-band swaps get replaced by a real tag. In HTMX2, you marked an element hx swap oob equals true, and it flew off to whatever element shared its ID. Then people wanted append, and prepend, and targeting by class, and the syntax grew a dialect of its own. HTMX4 introduces hx partial. Under the hood, it is a template element that carries ordinary HTMX attributes. HX target says where the content goes. HX swap says how it lands. No special syntax. And if a response is nothing but partials, the main target is left untouched. Out-of-band swaps stay. Cut back to the one job they started with. Replace the element with this ID. But the ordering flipped. In HTMX2, the out-of-band element swapped first. In HTMX4, the main content swaps first, and everything else follows it in document order. Server-sent events come back into core. HTMX1 had SSE built in, HTMX2 pushed it out to an extension, and HTMX4 pulls it back because once you are on Fetch, you get readable streams for free, and SSE is a stream with a format on top. Streaming swaps arrive with it. The server pushes content into the DOM in pieces as it generates them, instead of holding everything until the response is finished. View transitions get a queue. HTMX2 has supported the View Transition API since April 2023, and the ugly failure was two transitions overlapping and canceling each other mid-animation. HTMX4 queues them, so each one finishes before the next begins, and there is a bundle called HTMX.js. That is HTMX plus the 10 extensions most people end up loading anyway. Server sent events, WebSockets, preload, optimistic updates, downloads, live bindings, Alpine compatibility, one file, and the attributes work the moment it loads. So, do you upgrade? Here is exactly where the project sits today, the 27th of July, 2026. On NPM, latest is still HTMX 2.10. 4.0 lives under the next tag. Beta 6, not a release. The published plan is a multi-year rollout, with 4.0 taking the latest tag sometime in early 2027. HTMX2 is supported in perpetuity, the same commitment HTMX1 and Intercooler got, and both of those are still running in production somewhere right now. There is a tool for the grep work, npx htmx.org at 4.0 beta 6 upgrade check pointed at your project root. It reads HTML, PHP, JavaScript, TypeScript, Jinja, ERB, and handlebars files, finds removed attributes, old event names and inheritance patterns, and prints file and line. My read: if HTMX2 is running your app and nothing hurts, stay. There is no deadline here and no security cliff. If you are starting something new in the next few months, start on 4, because the beta cadence is holding and you skip doing the rename pass later. And notice what a major version meant here. React majors add, Angular majors add. This one removed a request object, a caching layer, 8 attributes and 15 config options, and the file got 15 kilobytes lighter on the way out, which brings us back to the version that does not exist. There is no HTMX3 because its author would rather skip a whole number than take back something he said. What actually changed is that HTMX4 subtracted, and it is a better library for it. The essay is called The Fetch Enning on htmx.org, and it is worth reading in full. If this was useful, subscribe. More of this comes.